Look, I love the Mortal Kombat movie, but it's stupid. It's got a great cast, the production design is amazing, the fight choreography is top-notch, the practical effects make up for the dated CGI, and it might be one of the best video game adaptations to date. The script is a mess though. I haven't done a kind of long-winded video essay like this in a long time, but I got in the mood after seeing Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. The movie actually did some things with the story and characters that I wish the original did. One thing that Mortal Kombat had over other game adaptations was that there was a decent amount of thought put into the backstory for the game and its characters. The arcade game itself has this nice little intro explaining its plot, along with screens detailing the backgrounds of each character. There was even a Mortal Kombat comic that you could order from Midway. It fleshes out the history of the tournament and develops the characters a little bit more. They introduce each character and their motivation, and they all end up on the boat that takes them to Shang Tsung's island. This would end up being used in the live-action film along with the 2 animated films. A lot of this comic would be used in the manual when the game came to home consoles. In addition to all of this, there were also Mortal Kombat trading cards that had little character bios. I used to have a poster that had all these character profiles growing up, and I swear I had all their stats memorized at one point. I think the best way to dissect this movie is to just go character by character and point out all the issues I have with them. And I'm only focusing on the first movie. If you want to know what I think about these 2 gems, go to Cinemassacre Rental Reviews.
Liu Kang.
Liu Kang is the star of this movie, despite the fact I don't think he was anyone's favorite in the game. The movie tells us that he left the Order of Light to go to America. He apparently doesn't believe in whatever the monks are preaching and felt uncomfortable being trained as a type of chosen one. Now, in the games, Liu is important because he is the descendant of Kung Lao. Not the guy with the hat from the games, that's a relative of Liu who has the same name. The original Kung Lao was a Mortal Kombat champion who defeated Shang Tsung, but then was defeated by Goro in the next tournament. The movie never really tells us this, which makes it weird when Kung Lao gets his name dropped. It first appears that Liu doesn't even know who Kung Lao was.
I've come to warn you that Kung Lao's descendant is competing in the tournament. You must handle him carefully.
I saw this Liu Kang in the hall. He'll pose no problem.
What's so special about you? I don't know.
In the final fight, though, he proudly states that he is the descendant of Kung Lao. When did he learn this? Did he always know this, but not know how important Kung was? Why wasn't this backstory fleshed out more? It could have been done briefly by Raiden or whatever. These are all little things that I guess don't matter too much, but I start to have issues with him at the very end. He falls for Shang's shapeshift like an idiot. He literally watched Shang change. He was right there. He never took his eyes off him. I know people joke about Lois Lane not being able to tell Clark is Superman, but this is literally like if Superman got undressed and changed in front of Lois, only to have her go, "Clark, where did Superman go?" Then he shoots a fireball. Now sure, this is something he did in the games a lot, but up until this point, he had no supernatural abilities. Maybe the bicycle kick, but I'll let that one slide. It seems like he never even learned how to shoot fireballs since he doesn't believe in the supernatural at the beginning of the film. When did he learn to do this? How did he learn to do this? Did this just happen spontaneously? Why didn't he do it earlier? And my last issue? He's a liar.
Flawless victory.
You're a liar. You're a liar, Liu Kang. Apologize. Apologize to dead Shang Tsung.
Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage has always entered the tournament to prove that he is not a fake fighter. People doubt his martial arts abilities because he is a movie star. Now, I always assumed in the games when they talked about him being fake, they meant when he shoots green energy or does his shadow kick. I could see people saying those are just special effects. In this movie though, they seem to only be talking about his martial arts skills. I have a few questions about this. Why would anyone doubt his abilities? Say he uses a stunt double. Why would this be an issue? Actors use stunt doubles all the time. If Cage is so concerned about being called a fake, why not just release a behind-the-scenes video of him doing his moves? He could go on whatever show was popular at the time and do some kicks and whatnot. Instead, he goes to enter in a tournament. Fine, that's a good way to prove you're the real deal. You would think he would join a really popular fighting tournament or an event that's televised and broadcast to a huge audience. Instead, he enters into a tournament that isn't advertised, isn't filmed, and has no real audience that could spread the word. He's going really out of his way to prove something that ultimately doesn't matter. He doesn't seem hard up for cash, and we see he's still working, so why is any of this important to him? The setup for his character is weak, but he is one of the best parts of the movie. There are 2 or 3 things about him besides his backstory that still bother me. First, when fighting Scorpion, he does a flying kick. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a shadow kick from the game, or if this is just a side effect of getting sucked into the nether realm. If he is doing his shadow kick, why not show he has some supernatural abilities earlier in the movie? Second, in the nether realm, Johnny Cage wins the fight and does his friendship for Mortal Kombat 2. Now, did he have this autograph on him? Was it pre-signed? Why did he give it to Scorpion? Where was he holding it? How many did he have on him? Did he plan to give this to everyone he beat? And lastly, assuming this is the Netherrealm, how did he get out of this place? Anyway, let's move on to the next character.
Sonya, Kano.
Yeah, I'm grouping these 2 together. Sonya is a badass special forces agent with the world's biggest flashlight on her gun, trying to avenge the death of her partner who was killed by Kano. Now, I understand Sonya's backstory. It makes the most sense for me anyway. I kinda like how she stumbles into the tournament. They dropped the story from the comics about her team being held prisoner on the island. In the film, she leaves Jax and her team behind. Her mission in the movie is simply to kill Kano. She finally does it in a pretty awesome scene. It happens pretty early in the movie though, and she's left with nothing else to do after that. She ends up being the damsel in distress, and everyone assumes she is too weak to take on Shang, despite the fact she does nothing but annihilate dudes the whole movie. Raiden drops some dumb thing about how she needs to learn about the power of teamwork or whatever, but she's part of a military organization and had a partner. She should probably already know the power of teamwork. They also make her Johnny Cage's love interest. It's kinda shoehorned in and doesn't really lead to anything, especially if you count the sequel as canon. Okay, so I had a whole thing written for Kano about how I wasn't sure what his motivation was. I don't know what he has to gain by being in the tournament. I don't know what he was promised by Shang Tsung. And it turns out when I was editing, I saw the line where he mentions getting paid, so it kind of threw my whole issue with him out the window. I mean, I guess one little issue is he says he wants to get paid and go back home, but I don't think he realizes that he won't have a home if they win. Yeah. Kano's awesome in this. I love him in this. And he was so good, they based all future Kanos off of him, so we're going to skip this one.
Sub-Zero, Scorpion.
Yep, I'm grouping these 2 together as well. I could go into their backstories, but who cares? The movie completely omits them. There's one mention that they were enemies, but now they're just slaves under Shang Tsung's power. Look, I get it. At the time this movie was made, those characters hadn't been super fleshed out yet. Scorpion was a spirit who wanted revenge on Sub-Zero for killing his clan. The games have added stuff like it all being a conspiracy set up by Quan Chi and whatnot since then. See the new movie to see that story get told. If you were going to make any character mindless henchmen, I could see picking the 2 ninjas. The problem is they were probably the most popular characters. I don't think anyone wanted to see them as brainless zombies. And how exactly did they become slaves to Shang Tsung? It never gets explained. I guess out of the 2, Sub-Zero gets treated a little bit better. He doesn't get to do a spine rip, but he does freeze a guy who shatters, and that's pretty awesome. It feels like the game. You know what isn't like the game? Scorpion having a weird snake come out of his hand. This was never in the games, and I don't know why it was put in the movie. I guess they wanted a realistic reason for his harpoon to almost be alive. Was him being a magic demon zombie not enough reason? It never even gets used effectively. He never grabs anyone with it. Hell, he doesn't kill anyone this whole movie. He gets killed after doing his fatality, which wasn't successful. I would have liked to have seen him kill one guy. Sub-Zero got to, why not him? I still can't believe this movie got made without anyone realizing that a live-action fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero was an absolute must. I guess there was no time since they had to introduce other characters like Kitana. Why is she in this movie? I really don't know. Maybe the Emperor sent her there to keep an eye on Shang Tsung, but she clearly has no loyalty to either of them. I'm also not sure why she participates in the tournament either. Any exposition she gives Liu Kang could have easily been given to Raiden and probably would have made more sense. The only time I guess she's useful is to give exposition in Outworld since Raiden can't go there. But you could have written the ending to not take place in Outworld. Not sure why they felt the need to do that other than they wanted to include elements of Mortal Kombat 2. I guess the only other purpose she serves is to be Liu Kang's love interest, even though they end up not really doing anything, so yeah. Pointless character. Could have been removed easily. Kinda like Reptile. Reptile was a secret bonus character in the first game. He was a palette swap of Scorpion and Sub-Zero that you could fight if you followed the following steps. The player must get a double flawless victory in single player mode on the pit stage and finish the match off with a fatality, all without blocking. In addition to that, Santa Claus has to be seen flying past the moon. I didn't make that up. Once all conditions are met, Reptile will announce, "You have found me, now prove yourself." The match takes place on the spiked floor of the pit, and defeating him with a fatality earns the player 10 million points. Okay, so that was him in the game. Real easy character you can leave out of the movie. Maybe a cameo would have been fun. Instead, he's Kitana's bodyguard. He doesn't really do a good job though. He spits in Liu's face once, he runs to Outworld, then gets his butt kicked. I'm guessing they put him in because Jurassic Park was big and they wanted something like a dinosaur. The only problem is the raptors looked really cool, and Reptile looks stupid. So they add in a dinosaur. Fine, but what happens when Liu has to fight him? Can't really do martial arts with a velociraptor. In the game, he looks like a regular guy, but they didn't want to do that the whole movie because they wanted their dumb CGI raptor. If this had come out post MK4, they would have just made him human-shaped with scales and claws. The movie was made before that, so when it came to making the raptor into a man, they had to get creative. None of what I'm about to say makes any sense. Liu Kang picks up Reptile, who for some reason forgets how to use his claws, and throws him into a statue. The statue then sucks him in with tentacles, and then turns into a man. And just so you're clear what is happening, Shao Kahn's voice comes out of nowhere just to say, "This has never made sense to me. Ever. Why did the statue absorb him? What are these statues? Why are they filled with bugs? Why does he look like Scorpion and Sub-Zero? Why does the statue then vomit him out when they finish fighting? So many questions! You could have removed the scenes with Reptile and merged some of Kitana's lines and essential scenes with Raiden, and you would have had
9 minutes, 14 seconds.
You could have used to tell a proper Scorpion and Sub-Zero storyline.
They named him Goro.
This will be quick. Most issues I have with Goro story-wise are mostly due to my issues with Shang Tsung, so I'll save those for later. For the most part, he's fine. I do have a small issue though. The effect was great for the time, and it looks great in close-ups. The problem is his arms are too tiny. They gave him regular human-sized arms. This is because the bottom pair belonged to the suit actor, that way only the top two had to be mechanical. I can't fault the movie for this though. CGI was nowhere near where it needed to be in order to give us a Goro with bigger arms and a less awkward torso. This is the best they could do, and it worked really well, so I'll shut up now.
Raiden.
I actually don't have too much to say about Raiden in this. In the games where the story doesn't really matter, he's fun to play as, but the filmmakers realized that an overpowered thunder god on the good guy's side would kind of remove any threat Outworld possessed. The character is rewritten to be a mentor to Earthrealm and to make sure Outworld doesn't cheat. I guess one thing that is weird about him is that when he comes to Earth, he takes the form of a mortal, I guess to blend in, but for some reason he picks the form of a white French guy. Okay, I've never been to China, so I'm not sure if white French beggars are a common thing you see there. If you've been to China and you've seen white French beggars, let me know. The only other issue I guess I have is that he does sort of cheat a little. He straight up plants the water for Liu to use on Sub-Zero. Other than that, the version of Raiden is pretty great and has been retconned into the games. I wish he was around for the third act more, but they swapped him out for Kitana.
Shang Tsung.
1,000-year-old plus demon sorcerer who has controlled Mortal Kombat for the last 1,000 years. He steals the souls of those he defeats to appease his outworld ruler, Shao Kahn, and unbalance the furies of good and evil, thus opening a portal to Earth through which Kahn will come and take over. Tsung is able to morph into any shape. Shang Tsung is probably the one character I have the most issues with. The movie kind of ignores his backstory about how he was the champion who then lost to Kung Lao. As a punishment, he was de-aged, and then he recruited Goro to replace him and represent Outworld in the tournament. Here, he's still young for some reason. I know it's because they wanted him to be closer to Mortal Kombat 2, but there's no in-story reason for it. He seems to be in great shape, so I'm guessing he never got punished for losing. In that case, he should be in the tournament, right? And the game's plot, he only attacks you out of anger after you beat Goro. You get the idea he can only shapeshift for brief periods, and he probably can't fight for too long as himself. At least that's how I interpreted it. But in the film, he's able to fight really well. He's probably the most dangerous person on the whole island. So why isn't he getting in on the action? The movie eventually has to come up with a super convoluted reason for him to get in the tournament. It's weird they just didn't rewrite it to make him the final boss from the beginning. Also, I don't understand how this tournament works. How many sides are competing? Liu Kang is representing the Order of Light for Earthrealm. I guess Sonya and Johnny fight for Earth by default. Kano's from Earth, but seems to be recruited by Outworld. Fine. But what about the rest of these people? This guy Liu Kang fights. Is he on Outworld's side? He's dressed like he's from Earth. What about Plaid Shirt Guy? What realm do you think he's fighting for? There's never any bracket system or whatnot to keep track. Liu Kang beats 3 people, Johnny Cage beats 1, Sonya beats 1, and Goro beats like 15 guys. I'm guessing they all progress further than the main 3? Or did they all cut shady deals like Johnny Cage does to face the champ? And circling back to Shang Tsung, why is he able to take souls of the fallen fighters? Isn't that interfering in the tournament? Oh, and Shang Tsung purposely sabotages himself. He goes out of his way to recruit people that only exist to undo him. To this day, I still can't figure out why he does it. In the original comic, he invites Liu Kang to the tournament because he is confident that Goro will kill him. In Liu Kang's trading card, they change it to Shang Tsung having the Order of Light killed before the tournament. Liu only survived because he wasn't there. The movie blends these two together. Shang Tsung, for some reason, fights Liu Kang's brother and kills him. This motivates Liu, who before this had quit and fled to America, to join the tournament. You're probably thinking Shang wants to embarrass him like in the comics. Wrong. He spends the whole movie avoiding him and desperately trying to get him killed. If he is this afraid of him, why did he provoke him in the first place? If he had done nothing, the Order of Light probably would have sent Liu's brother, who clearly wasn't a threat. Shang Tsung even comes up with this stupid plan where he makes a deal with Johnny Cage. If Cage beats Goro, then Shang gets to challenge a fighter of his choosing wherever he wants. It's almost perfect. He could pick a weak fighter and then go to Outworld where they might not even make it to the final fight because of reptilians. Solid plan. But then he picks Sonya, who's done nothing but beat up dudes the whole movie. Then after getting called a coward, he picks Johnny Cage. I think he assumes Johnny is weaker than Liu, but Johnny killed Scorpion and the reigning champion. Then Liu just demands Shang pick him, and Shang just agrees. Why? He could pick anyone. He doesn't have to accept Liu's challenge. Rewinding a bit, Sonya turns down the fight, which he says is her forfeiting. so he technically could have won right there. Liu and Johnny show up and he could just say, "Too late, suckers." Let's rewind even further. The Goro fight shows that there's tons of people left on the island. I assume they're all fighters. They don't seem that tough. Why not pick one of those guys and call it a day? How about plaid shirt guy? But he agrees to the fight because Kitana tells him the tournament can't be won by treachery and he needs to choose Liu Kang. For some reason. If she's apparently making up rules and whatnot, she should just decree that Johnny Cage is the winner and that the deal between him and Shang is void. Anyway, Shang agrees to the fight and gets his butt kicked. He manages to summon some souls that can take physical shape, which I feel breaks the rules because I believe it's supposed to be one-on-one. Maybe this counts as an endurance match, whatever. Then he dies. The end. So yeah, that was my long Mortal Kombat makes no sense video essay thing or whatever. I still love the movie, but it's entertaining to poke fun at things once in a while. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on my socials. Not really using Twitter at the moment because it sucks. But I am on Instagram, Facebook. I've been using the YouTube community tab more often. And yeah, I have a Patreon. Lots of commentary tracks up there. And an OnlyFans. You know, if you're into that thing. It's okay if you are. It's there. But yeah, check those out. Please watch more of my videos and have a great day. I don't know how to end this. It was a really long video essay. I don't usually do really long video essays. I haven't really done video essays in a long time, so let me know if this one sucks. Let me know if I got anything wrong. And let me know if you think I'm cute. Bye!